This video is brought to you by Bitbox NES game cases. There is no better way to protect, store, and show off your NES game collection. Only available at StoneAgeGamer.com/Bitbox. Skip it up and that up. So Microsoft is going to throw their hat into the VR ring. Now, excuse me, let me file this into the no shit folder. But anyway, during a conversation about virtual reality technology at the Game Developers Conference, Microsoft Game Studios' Phil Spencer said this: "I think the technology is really interesting, and it's definitely something we've been playing with for quite a while. A couple years back, Microsoft filed a whole bunch of patents, and with those patents, there was some VR information involved with what they were filing." Phil Spencer went on to say, thank God that he doesn't feel that every game should require you to have goggles in the future, but he thinks it's interesting technology nonetheless. So here it is. This is the new thing. This is going to be the Cold War for the 8th generation. If you think back, there's always been a fucking thing. Let's go back to the 4th generation, the 16-bit consoles. It was all about the bits. Who has more bits? Who is 16-bit? Who's 32-bit? Who has blast processing? Remember all the play it loud and Genesis does what Nintendo don't? Then when you went on to the 32 and 64-bit console, it was all about 3D, and every game had to be 3D, even if it was not designed to be 3D, and even if the game would be shit if it wasn't 3D, they were cramming 3D down your throat. That was the thing, the Cold War gaming industry battle for the 5th generation. Then with the 6th generation, the whole industry Cold War, the gaming industry Cold War, was online gaming and DVD. Who had better online? Who was playing games online? Nintendo wanted nothing to do with it really, minus a couple games, but Sony and Microsoft were going for the whole online gaming thing, and Sony was bragging that they had DVD capability and the Sega Dreamcast didn't. That was the whole thing with the 6th generation. Now the 7th generation, which just faded away just a couple months ago, motion controls. Wii started it off. No one thought the Wii was going to do well. It did do well. Then Sony or Microsoft came out with their motion controls, and the PlayStation Move and the Kinect, and all of it ended up just being fucking gimmicks, but they had to have theirs just so they could try to get some of that Wii money. That was the 7th gen thing, and here we are with the 8th gen, and it is going to be virtual reality. Who's going to have the best virtual reality experience? And then we're going to have so many virtual reality options that it may end up totally backfiring. I don't want to see that happen. I think virtual reality has the potential to be cool, but we've been down this road 1,000 times before. But this is their thing. This is what it's going to. Every generation seems to have its thing that all the companies are trying to get the biggest piece of that pie. And even if these guys, like Microsoft really doesn't think that VR is going to really take off, they're still going to make it though, just in case VR does end up being insanely popular. They don't want to miss the boat. So even if they're not like 100% into it, they're still going to make some kind of VR helmet or VR glasses so they can compete with Oculus Rift and Project Morpheus. I really hope to God, even though the realist in me doesn't see VR taking off the way these companies want it to, but I kind of do hope it takes off, because this is a ton of research and development. There is a lot of time and a lot of money being invested in this that could be used for more innovative games, for new IPs, new AAA IPs that could really take off. And this is going to take up a lot of that time and energy from both Sony and Microsoft and from Oculus Rift. And if it doesn't take off, it's going to piss me off, because that could have been used for great games. It could have been used for focusing on other things in the gaming industry that definitely could use some focusing on. And instead, they're going to focus on this. They're going to focus on virtual reality and trying to make it take off and shoving it down people's throats. I want it to work. I don't see it. I'm trying to see the good in this, and I can't. And I have a feeling that even though the potential's there, it's going to end up like motion controls. It's going to end up like in the early 90s. I understand I always say this in every video, that the technology is much different with virtual reality, but they were doing this back in the day, and they were, Atari Jaguar is going to have a virtual reality helmet. Every time you watch TV, someone was talking about virtual reality, and then people back then again realized, I just want to sit in front of my TV. I said this in another video too. Imagine playing a Twitch shooter like Titanfall with virtual reality. That's what Phil Spencer's talking about. It's not going to be for every game. Could you imagine playing like Call of Duty or some whatever. Think of your favorite game that's really fast paced, playing it with virtual reality, having to swing your head all over. You'll give yourself fucking whiplash. It's not going to be practical for everything. It's going to be interesting to see, even with the technology available today, what the limitations of all these VR headsets or goggles or whatever you want to call them are going to be. I'm sure there's going to be some strong points to Oculus Rift. I'm sure there's going to be some strong points to Project Morpheus, and whatever Microsoft brings to the table, there's going to be some strong points to their offering too, and they're all three of them are also going to have their weaknesses. I just hope it doesn't make it a big mess, because there's going to be 3 different options out there. And I hope it doesn't become too costly for developers, because developers may just say, like I said in another video, they may just say, fuck it, I'm not making a VR game. I'm just going to make a conventional game where I know the money is, and I know I can make that game work on all of the platforms. So here we go, kids. Here we go, folks. VR is the next thing. It's official. You're going to hear about VR all the time if you're a gamer, 24/7, whether you want to or not, because they want to keep talking about it, because they want to try to make you interested in it, just like they tried to make you interested in motion controls with the original Kinect and the PlayStation Move with the 7th generation. So hopefully this is successful, but here we go. Prepare to hear about Oculus Rift, Project Morpheus, and whatever Microsoft is offering day in and day out. It's going to be hammered into your brains until you want to try to hammer it back out of your brains because you're going nuts. I don't know what the fuck that means, but just roll with it. Anyway, folks, make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for supporting Review Tech USA. Have a good one.